and welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at our brand new 2024 Demon 170 AMW 1025 Gladiator. This vehicle behind me here was recently completed in the shop, and we brought it out here to show you guys a more detailed, in-depth look at it. We auctioned one of these off earlier this year. It was a black one down at Barrett-Jackson in Palm Beach, and this example behind me, we're going to go a little bit more in depth, show you more of the details of the build, and also take a little bit of a dive into what the Demon 170 actually is. Now, there's a lot of questions out there about this engine. Mopar has it on their website as the Elephant C170 engine. The Demon 170 engine is the same that is used in the Demon 170 car, put out in 2023 as the last call. They built 3,000 for the US, 300 for Canada, and this vehicle behind me has the same engine as that. Now, when Mopar released the first Elephant, which was a 7-liter 426 aluminum block with a 3-liter supercharger, that engine they released 100 of, and we have yet to see any more production of that engine. We have built plenty of vehicles with that. I believe we got around 20 of those engines to use in vehicles, and this behind me is a different variant. So this is going to be a 6.2 liter iron block with a 3-liter supercharger on top. A couple of the differences with the two Elephant line engines currently is the original engine was a 7-liter 426 aluminum block made specifically to run on higher octane like 91, 93. This engine behind me in the Elephant C170, also known as the Demon 170, is made to run on a higher octane like 93 or E85. Now, this vehicle behind me is tuned specifically right now on E85, and it is an absolute blast. So we can't wait to show some of that to you guys. So the Jeep we have behind me today is a customer vehicle that we just finished up. Like I said, this is a 2024, finished in this anvil clear coat color. Now, this vehicle here, being our AMW 1025, has the Demon 170 conversion. This also is optioned out with our long travel Hemi-tuned suspension, which is a Fox 12-inch coilover front and rear. An awesome custom suspension setup that we build with full hydraulic bump stops, custom sway bars, custom sway bar links, custom axles built around this coilover suspension. It is an absolute animal off-road and just so much fun to drive. Even with this full coilover suspension under power, it is absolutely mind-blowing how tight and connected you feel to the road. I've been in quite a few of the coilover vehicles over the years, and these just stick to the road so well and are so smooth. And when you get them off-road, they just perform to the max. You can lighten up the shocks and you can go fast, and it's so much fun. So having said that about the suspension, let's take a look under the hood at this absolute monster of an engine. Looking under the hood here, you can see we've got the 6.2 liter Demon 170 engine sitting in here pretty with a full closed airbox. Now, this closed-in airbox here is a new feature for the 2024 models. We will be adding a few things to the higher horsepower ones with the ductwork under the hood here coming later this year. Now, on this vehicle, the customer chose to go with a full S-Pod electrical system underneath to run the lighting and any other accessories he wants to add. Another feature on the Demon 170s are the oil catch cans that we've been adding on these now, just for peace of mind and safety, as they are built to go fast, run at high RPM. We want to make sure that we're protecting the longevity of the engines in any way possible. As you guys know, on all of our conversions and all of our turnkey vehicles, we offer the full 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty on parts. And if it's done at our facility, we have a 1-year, 12,000 mile on labor as well. This Bantam S-Pod system is fully wireless so that you can pair your phone to it and use your phone app to connect to your lights and use them off of there if you don't want to use the screen that is mounted inside as well. Now, this full engine bay, we've worked our hardest to make this as clean and as OEM looking as possible. With any of our supercharged conversions or turnkey vehicles, you have a fully re-engineered cooling stack, making sure that this engine can stay cool in the harshest of conditions. Let's move to the foundation of the vehicle and take a look at some of the aspects and components that make this ride so incredible. Now, with all of our turnkey vehicles, we do the custom etched headlights. This is no exception. We have the Demon 170 logo etched in the center with the Demon Eye, along with the AMW 8 lug, signifying that it is a full 8 lug turnkey. Now, on this vehicle, this customer optioned to do some fender lights underneath here. This is an option that we can add on any of the turnkey vehicles. With the 2024s, we've also added a small blinker light on the outside where we used to have a fastener. This blinker just adds to the halo blinker in the headlight. Now, taking a look at the suspension, as I mentioned earlier, this is the full Fox long travel suspension on this with our custom coilover geometry. So this frame has been fully gusseted and braced for the suspension. We do a lot of welding on these. These coilover frames are built on a full frame rotisserie so that we can get every side and every angle and make sure that the entire thing is braced and dialed in perfectly on install. So we've got a steel sprung sway bar up front with our custom AMW arms, along with the full billet sway bar links, moving into the track bar brace, which comes on our coilover frame. Now this track bar brace completely eliminates the factory small mount there and goes full 1/4 inch steel on that track bar setup. Moving on to the bumps, we have an IFP Fox bump up front, making sure that when you do bump all the way out, you've got a nice soft landing there and it's not hitting you too harshly. The Fox coilover itself is a 12-inch shock with a reservoir with a high speed and low speed DSC adjustment. Now this adjustment is on all 4 corners. The front on the Gladiators is going to be the remote reservoir, and on the rear Gladiator setup, it'll be a piggyback reservoir to ensure proper packaging back there. Looking behind this coilover, you can see our custom AMW inner fender liners. These are different on the coilover package to follow the contour of the coilover tower to ensure a nice smooth fitment with optimal clearance. Now the steering package on this vehicle, we get some questions about, especially at shows when people look underneath. This is a package that we've built up with a couple different key companies to make sure that this is the best off-road and on-road driving experience. So underneath we have a Steer Smarts 1.5 ton tie bar, our custom AMW ram clamp, a PSC ram up here, along with a PSC ported box that's made for us, along with a Steer Smarts 1.5 ton drag link and the cold forged track bar up top. One thing important to mention on this full long travel suspension system are the FK Heims that we use in conjunction with the TerraFlex long arm system. This makes sure that you have the maximum amount of flex, whether you're going into a fully stuffed position or full droop position. These arms are going to keep up with that and not cause any binding within that whole process of the rotation. On the front here, we've got a worn Xeon Wench, along with the Factor 55 Fair Lead and Ultra Hook, and a paint match to the accent color Surf Blue on the tow hooks. Moving along to the tires and wheels up front, we've got this AMW KMC collaborated forged wheel wrapped in a Nitto 40 by 1350 17-inch tire. This holds all the power super well on and off road. These things are awesome when you air down. They have so much grip and they're just definitely the favorite setup of ours to go with. Inside this wheel, you can see that we've got our billet brake caliper setup that are 8 piston on all 4 corners, making for awesome stopping power, which you definitely need with a Jeep like this. And moving along to the light setup, we have the brand new KC Gravity Pro 6 lights on the roof along with on the A-pillars. Now this whole setup, we've paint matched the bracket system on it so that it all blends in and is super clean. As far as aesthetics on this vehicle, we've got the AMW 1025 wrapped in the Surf Blue up front here with the 3D logos, along with the AMW 1025 pattern on the hood, which gives it just a really unique look. Moving along to the side, we've got the Demon 170 badge. Now this badge definitely signifies that you've got something different than just a Demon or a Hellcat. This is absolute top of the line right now for what you can get and is just the pinnacle of performance for Dodge and Mopar at the moment. Moving up from the Demon 170 logo, we have the AMW Trail badge on the 24s, where you get one on both sides. This badge is super unique because if you look at it close enough, you can see the AMW 8-lug pattern behind the logo itself. So it's a really detailed and unique badge. We like to throw in highly detailed things like that to just give it that wow factor. The closer you get, the more you see. Moving along to the back here, you see that this vehicle is an AMW bob bed, taking out 10 inches and moving the rear of the bed forward. Everything happens behind the tire, so it doesn't get into anything needed up front. We also add a cross member in there for rigidity and strength. And I can tell you from wheeling one of these from a few weeks ago out in Utah for Trail Hero, which we'll put some video in there, that bob bed is absolutely amazing off-road. It allows for so much more clearance, and I really didn't hit anything the whole time I was out there, even on 37s with our AMW 392 that we brought along with us. So inside this bob bed, we're taking up most of the bed with this spare tire, but in this case, it's really just amazing to get a full-size spare tire back here with a mount that is able to go up and down, so you can put things underneath of that and utilize the bottom of the bed. Now on the rear, I mentioned up front, we have the Surf Blue paint match tow hooks along with the Gladiator badge, actually finished in granite on this one for that little unique look not quite black, but gives a little bit of pop. Moving underneath the vehicle back here, you can see our 3.5-inch exhaust up and out of the way, making for maximum clearance, along with this 80 series rear axle, forged track bar back here as well, 8 piston calipers, custom drive shafts, and of course the 12-inch coilovers in the rear for that amazing ride quality. Along with this rear shock setup, we've also added this AMW custom sway bar in the rear as well as in the front. This is a cold forged steel sprung sway bar. This sway bar allows for this vehicle to stay nice and tight in the corners and off-road, keep that weight and power pushed to the ground at all times. Let's take a quick look at the interior and then we'll get to the drive. So we'll hop in here. You've got the nice rock slide step that makes for easy entry exit. You've got the AMW perforated interior with the carbon wings. This customer opted to go for the full surf blue stitch to match the accent on the outside, along with an air up, air down system under the seat, offering an ARB twin compressor along with a hose kit so that you can hook up all 4 tires at once and air up, air down on demand. This is also a Bluetooth system, so it allows you to do it fully from your phone from the ARB app. So this system is optional on any of our Turnkey vehicles, and it sits nicely on top of the Armor Light flooring system. We love this flooring system because it just offers the most comfortable ride on or off-road and really keeps that cabin at a nice interior temperature, whether you're just out in the hot sun or you're in the cold winter up in the mountains and really want to keep that cabin at a nice respectable temperature. Another one of the key features that we add on the inside of these vehicles is the AMW gauge cluster, the shifter coins, and our full carbon steering wheel. This thing's fully protected under here. It's got an Artec skid plate. I crawled underneath here for you guys to show you this awesome Artec skid plate. We collaborated on this setup and we finally have these fully in stock and ready to go. So if you have an AMW Jeep or if you're looking to get one, you can now have a skid plate that is fully integrated with our system, goes on our engine mounts and fits up with these vehicles with all of our heat shielding and everything needed for an easy install. This is an awesome way to protect your investment, especially under a vehicle like this with so much horsepower and so much invested into the powertrain of this vehicle. It protects all the way back the fuel tank, your full transfer case skid, your oil pan skid. It also makes for super easy oil changes with this drain plug system. You pull the drain plug cover off, you can get to it, and they've engineered it so that your oil will drip straight through it with the flow and comes right down and out of the vehicle without making a mess. Pretty sweet. From front to back, you can see the full suspension here, bottom of the engine, the oil skid plate, the nice fresh drive shafts, fully powder coated frame, our cats, all the heat blankets, our heat shield up here. Looking underneath here, you can see this whole skid plate has countersunk bolts, so you're not going to catch on anything all the way back. I'll turn this way a little bit. You can see that we're fully clearance for the exhaust. This fresh drive shaft all the way back on the fuel tank, muffler, and rear suspension. Well guys, let's hop in this thing, take it for a drive and see what it's got. Thing is way too much fun. This has reached the point with the AMW 1025 where you really have so much power that it's just incredible what it can do on the road as far as keeping up with vehicles that you just would never think that a Jeep should be able to keep up with. But at the same time, you get off-road, you put it in 4-low, and I'd be comfortable wheeling this thing all day. I mean, we've had all sorts of vehicles out at Moab, from Elephant powered vehicles to Demon powered Wranglers, Gladiators, with the AMW 840 package. And the funny part is everyone always says, oh, that's way too much power for, off-road. Well, at the end of the day, when you're in 4-low and you're wheeling, I mean, of course you're not using 1,000 horsepower to wheel, right? But it's one of those factors where when you get off the trail and you hit the road, it's a ton of fun to be able to have that much power. And it's also something where there's quite a few vehicles out there that we do wheel with in Moab and other places where they wish they had more power, you know, to get up some of these obstacles and have the, you know, power to turn the tire in the right spot. I mean, does anyone need 1,000 out there? We'll leave that up to you guys, but I would say that it's definitely hands down one of the most fun vehicles to drive anywhere. I mean, the fact that you can hop in one of these, go race a sports car, have some fun, you know, drive through the mountains, go up wherever you want, and then go hit a trail, throw it in 4-low, wheel it, have some fun in the sand. I mean, there's so many different things you can do in these vehicles, and that's the reason that, honestly, at the end of the day, it's just one of the most versatile vehicles in the world when you have power, performance, suspension reliability, the axle package the way it is. We just build these to go anywhere and do anything, and that's really the ultimate, you know, automotive experience right there, is being able to hop in and go have some fun. So let's go for it. Now, we obviously would love to get out to an area where we can really open this thing up and have some fun. We're gonna slow down here and do 1 0 to 60 pull and show you guys kind of what it can do. So let's make it happen. All right, we'll use the 0 to 60 timer here on the Taser to tell us where we're at with the rear locker on. We go 3, 2, 1. So we just were on that road there. We tried a 0 to 60 time, obviously just a back road, nice pavement. We started out with the rear locker on. We definitely gripped right off the bat. I leaned into it a little bit. Now, obviously when I got down into the throttle more, second gear, started spinning tire, which is going to happen with this much power. It just gives you an example of how much power this really does have. I mean, I bet if I kept going, I could probably continue to spin the tire, but we pulled out a little bit, hit it. When it got grip, still pulled off a 3.4 second 0 to 60. Now that test was simply the 0 to 60 timer that's on the Taser here on the vehicle being utilized. You can do that too with your vehicle with one of these Taser devices. It just allows you to see it on the dash. It'll show the number after. So whether or not that is 100% a validated number, obviously we'd like to have a nice validated time in the future with these. This is just kind of out playing around. I don't want to beat on it too much. We just want to do a nice, clean, smooth run. That was as close as we're going to get on an unprepped, you know, completely dry surface. Tires are at about 32 pounds of pressure. With that being said, there's so much more that could happen there if you aired down, if you went to a drag strip. There's tons of things you could do with that. But at 3.4, I feel pretty confident saying that this is definitely a fast Jeep. I mean, there's not many vehicles on 40-inch tires with 1 tons coilovers that can pull off something like that, even with essentially spinning both rear tires, shifting into second gear. So it's definitely a rowdy Jeep. Really, until you experience one of these and have the opportunity to be in one, it doesn't really make any sense. It's confusing to a lot of people when they jump in for a test drive. They start driving and they completely forget they're on 40s and in a Jeep vehicle, right? This is not the experience that you normally get out of one, but it's the experience that we try to offer with these modifications and the way that we build them. We hope you guys enjoyed taking an in-depth look at this vehicle. There's definitely a lot of things that have been done to it. The laundry list of components and upgrades added is definitely more than most vehicles that we take out and review. This customer is absolutely amazing. We can't wait to get this back to him. With that being said, if you guys are interested in purchasing one of these or coming out to the shop to take a tour, look at what we do, we can kind of give you the breakdown on how these vehicles work when you purchase them. Oh, that sound. Over the last couple years, we've really been working on the financing portion of these vehicles and getting the banks, insurance companies, everyone else to understand what we do to these and just make the ownership a lot easier. And at the end of the day, we've been getting much closer to that. We've worked out quite a few finance deals lately that have gone super smoothly, and we would love to bring you through that process and see if that's something that would work for you. So with that being said, we're pulling back into the shop. We'll give you a few awesome shots of this vehicle at the end of the video here, and we appreciate you guys watching. Catch us next time. For maximum uniqueness. You can tell that this is a Gladiator because of the way it is.